Hello, learners. Welcome to my YouTube channel, which is Craft LXG. As an instructional designer, we craft the learning experience. So, this is a lecture number 3. We are covering Julie Darksing's book that is very famous and designed for how people learn. The book name is that. And we are here at the third chapter where we talk about the goal. As instructional designer, as we know that we are creating learning experience for our learner. Why? Because the every learner has some goal. They are at the current state, and they have a current goal, like in our recent exam or whatever. We always have a goal that I am scoring right now 70%, but in future I want to score 90%. I have to fulfill those 20% gap. So we are going, as instructional designer, we are going to cover, we have to learn how to design the learning experience that helps to reach somewhere, not 90%, but even 80%, 75%. So we have to change the uh, current state to the desired state. That is our agenda of today's class. So let me adjust my screen so it won't. Yeah, now it is stable. And so today's agenda, we will be covering about the what is the identifying the problem, why even the learning experience needed. Now we will be going about how to set the destination, how to make a goal. But if we are not making the right goal, we are not going to make a right solution, training solution. Chapter 3 is how to determine that gap, what is the gap, and how to plan the trip. From 70 to 90%, how we are going to plan that trip. So we will be covering that. Mhm. So now the very first question is, do not start with the goal. It's always start with the problem. Why I'm saying that? Let's check an example. I have to make a training on a Excel. Okay. So I ask, what is your goal? So you said that I want to master the Excel. Okay. But I started the training. I started the training. I'm explaining everything, like how from basics to basic to advanced. I'm telling everything. But it is a possible that learner might know many of the topics. He or she want to focus on the particular VLOOKUP, actual lookup, macros, and all. So that is why it is important to know the problem. If I am Excel student, where I am struggling on the job, I have to make a report. I'm struggling with the Excel VLOOKUP function. But as a trainer, if I design the content or design the instructional material for the whole Excel classes, okay, I read about the student. Okay, the student problem is they don't know about Excel. They have to master the Excel. Okay, so I started with the goal. I have to master, make them master in the master. That is a goal, but that is a not correct goal. After making that goal and designing the learning experience for that particular goal, there will be no outcome at all. Because that is why we should also always start with the problem. We should, but the question is how you identify the problem. It is basically asking the learner question deeply, why this is training is needed. Then if answer come due to this, then why this is again. So we use five way. Mainly you use why multiple time to get to know that what is the point, what is the problem. So always start with the problem. Why? Because if you start with a goal instead of a problem, you end up solving problem you don't actually have. So we have to identify whether the solution is a training or not. Let's say we got to know that customer experience, customer rating of a company is reduced. Earlier it was 4.4, now it is 3.5. That is a gap. And we took the goal that we have to improve the goal, like from 3 to 3.4. 3.4 we have to make it 4.5 plus. We took the goal, and we start explaining the about the product features, how to talk. So we started with the goal. But the when training need analysis was conducted, we got to know that this problem was because employees are not performing good. Why they are not performing good? Because they do this year they don't get any appraisal, or there is a one new system and the management doesn't communicate it or train properly to the employee on the new system. So if we you can see the problem. If you start with the goal, directly goal, you can make training. So that will be a waste of money. All will be going to ruin. That is why we should start with the problem. If you got to know that, yeah, in this case, the problem was the appraisal. So there we don't need any kind of instructional thing, right? We don't need any kind of training here. So that will save a cost. If you start with a goal, I end up with wasting a lot of money. So always keep asking the question. Let's erase. So how to identify the problem? You can ask. First question is what bad thing will happen if they don't know this? So whenever you are designing whenever you are in the kickoff meeting, you when there is a training requirement, you simply ask, what if this will not happen? What bad thing happen if they don't know this? Second question you can ask, what are the actual going to do with this information? What learner are going to do with the particular information? You should ask. And how will you know that if they are after the training they are doing the correct? You should know that you should know that any plan how you will going to measure how you know that training works or not. So you should have a plan. What does it look like if they get it wrong, if they are not performing correctly? So how it will look like performance drop, rating drop. So with these kind set of question you can really get to know what is the core problem and you design the right solution for it, not randomly making the content. Now let's take an example, like, okay, here is a client. The client is saying the salesperson need to understand the basic of underwriting. So there is a training requirement that a client need a basic understanding of underwriting course to their employees. So as a learning designer, you have to ask the question. A good learning experience designer will ask, okay, and why it is important? They will know it. So we ask them why underwriting is important. Then client replies, well, they just need to ground it in the basics. So they need to know the basics of underwriting. Then as a good instructional designer, we should ask, what will they do with the information? Okay, we teach the information. What they are going to do with that information? They just need to know. We said client will say, yeah, they just need to know because it is policy. We work with underwriting. What bad thing happen if they don't do? Now the question. If they don't know about the information, what will be the impact? So the client will say that they will look bad in front of clients. Now we got that. So the real goal is answer the client question accurately. So if you are if you started with this very first goal, okay, they need a basic understanding of underwriting. Let's create the content. Let's put some bullet point. Let's some random scenarios. Okay, so that will not help because we should include the scenario in front of client. Client like behavior. So client like scenarios, client like interactivities will help here. So that is why digging deeper is important to get to know the actual. So see, as a tip, use the tip is that keep asking why until your real world consequences. That is your true objective. Now you got the true objective. Let's say we are designing the learning experience, and the learning experience is student need to learn to be better manager. Now this is not measurable. How you know that they will be good manager? You should break down. You should keep ask question, because this, if you see this learning objective, this is there is no clear path, no measurable behavior, multiple because learning better manager, how to become a better manager involves too many things. It is not a single characteristic. There are multiple things, multiple skill. So We can't teach all in one. So we need to dig down and pick one specific aspect of being a manager. So we can say that calculate weekly food cost, revenue, and identify two area of waste. As a project manager, you will be identify the wastage. So that will be a main goal, because as a project manager, you have multiple learning objective. So this is a broader view. But we have, if you want to performance issue to be clear, then you need to do this, check this. Now let's say another example. One tip is do not make your learning objective with the understand, because we can't measure the word understand. You are taking the class, you understand, but how are you going to know that you actually understand, you actually applying while designing the content, right? So that is a not a good goal. So let's say an example, a student will understand how to program in Java. First thing is, it is invisible. You can't observe understanding only what people do with it. Like we have a knowledge, like what will they going to do? Now, second thing is fuzzy. It bundled too much syntax. What will they are going to in Java? Java is a broader aspect. What specific thing they will be going to do? So because there is a syntax, there is a design, debugging, all of it. What is the goal? Untestable. There is no clear way how we are going to test this learning objective if this happens true or not. What will be the better learning objective here as well? Create a simple, fully functional user interface that collects customer data, send it to the database. Now, in the Java, we have a particular situation. After the course, a student will be able to create a simple and fully functional user interface that collect customer data and send it to the database. That's the goal. So we should design like that, which is measurable. That's now, as you know that Bloom's taxonomy, there is a ladder kind of. First, we learning objective. There are kind of verbs. So there one learning objective kind type is remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create, higher order thinking. Remember is one learning object. It is not always that every content to be like behavioral change. Something is just to recall, just to remember. If I'm opening an account, I just need to remember the few things, how to put login, how to put the Aadhaar and all. So that is a kind of remember information. So we design the remember thing, understand, apply, what's things which need to be applied on the job. If the content need analysis, so we use the analyze level of learning objective. If something is relating to evaluating things, and if something is like creating an excel that dashboard, so create we can measure the creation. We if the main agenda, if we are going to take, so we can take example. Let's say after the course you will be able to design the slide using the this principle, graphic design principle. Okay, so if you are testing the remember learning objective, then after the training, I just remember the acronym, recall the acronym, what C means, what R, what A, what P means, what each letter means. If the learning objective is this, so this will be the outcome. If learning is understandable, so after the session, I will be able to explain. Okay, if the training is designed with this learning objective, then I will be able to explain. And if the learning is related to apply thing, then organize a web using the four principles. So if even if I'm making the slide, so I will apply this. You can see whether I applied or not applied after the training. If something is related to analyze, so I can analyze all the principle and one slide to another slide, whether both e-learning slide follow the principle or no. Someone is can be evaluation. Critique multiple ad based on the principle. I can evaluate whether the particular slide following the trap principle or not. If something is created, so I will create a layout, fully functional layout. So that is we should design the learning objective like this. If we remember, so it is familiarization with the remember objective. We just familiarize the student. We then we can put the learner into comprehension part, efforts part. So this is a proficiency. This is just a brief. So Julie Daxin here suggests that do not list the learning objective randomly. Like no one reads learn about the learning objective bulleted list points. So rather, you should put the learner in a situation gamification. Like you have to do this after the session. You have to find this. Give them a challenge-based learning objective, not a traditional learning objective. Explain this, identify this. This is her recommendation. So if you say never open class with a bulleted object. Never open with a bulleted objective slide. Use challenge, mission, scenario based. This is a kind of learning objective we should design as per the book, as per the Julie Darkson, right? Uh, Now there is communicating objective without killing the room. Something can be related to the focusing part. So pay attention. Some objective must be related to only attention. So we can just put learning objective like this. Pay attention to how you decide if JavaScript fits or project. Now some objective, some content can be performance related objective. So here how we design the learning objective. Take example, your mission. Recommend the right tool for five projects and define it. Defend it. So your mission based we can do. Instructional design related. Learn states whether JavaScript fits a task with the correct rationale. So there are practical things we can assess that thing. And something if evaluation part. So 80% decision accuracy, 75% of the criteria called. That can be done. As we already know about the determining the gap, how first we have to determine the gap, right? Then we will design or plan the learner journey, learner trip. So there is a knowledge related, skill related gap, motivation, environment, communication. You can refer to the lecture one. There are kind of gaps. If there is a knowledge gap, your task is easy. If you are a skill gap, that can take time. Okay. If there is a motivation gap, so there will be no learning material can help. If there environment, so you have to fix the environment, communication, so you can design the training. So if you are making the course, you might be wonder that this training, even I think a lot of when the company is investing too much money on e-learning module, but this topic is not a topic like we can learn from it. We can immediately apply the thing. We take the session and the learning objective done. On the job, we some skill like if if the training objective is approve the time sheet, there is a tool and I'm not aware about the tool. My goal is to approve the timesheet. How we approve? So you have to follow the step one, step two, login and all. So these are the certain step. I can recall it. So this is the easy skill, fast skill. I can learn in within the hour 2 days. Like verify table setting, run a standard report, making a Word document. These all are the fast skill we can learn within few minutes. And some are the example like some communication skill, English communication skill. I can't just by taking a session, I can't improve that. That takes years or long to be proficient. Even if like all the like forecast, hire the right people. This is a called a skill. You can't learn in one session that how to hire right people. So you can refer to the slide and that's important. So what you can change, how fast? Okay, within the days you can make them learn about the tip checklist job aid through this thing. If something is takes weeks, it is skill practice scenario we can provide. Okay, if something require behavioral change, monitoring, so it can take months. If something is regarding the personality, culture, identity thing, so it can take year. Like behavioral thing, being a good manager, managing the team, so it can take years to learn. But if something is related to the software and all, we can learn in kind of a simple days. So ठीक है, speed. If very fast speed, we can make the learning very fast. Like you can teach as soon as you take the class. within the few date you can think, you can make tool checklist procedure. And for skill practice proficiency, moderate, slow, foundation. So you can you can read that how design for it. If the skill is very fast, so you can just hiring question checklist, you can provide job ad checklist. Okay, if something is moderate time taker, so like skill, communication skill, how to negotiate, so you can role play hiring scenarios you can add. So within the week you can make them. If something is takes time, slow, higher level strategic judgment, so you can hire the same person. You can you can conduct ILT session with them to solve the problem. If something is self-awareness, bias, identity, so it can take years of learning. Sometimes there is a no problem, and that is okay. Not every journey is about the destination. Like something is the policy change. We have to know this. Something has happened, and we just know this. There is a no something called information. So, so with this, we are ending up this session. We have already covered a lot of things here. Okay. Okay, so what are the key takeaways here? Is first is ask why, no, really why until you find the real world consequences. So you have to dig deeper. Define the problem. If before you design the solution, first define the problem. What is the problem? Then go to the solution. Test every objective with would they do? Can they tell? Can you measure it or not? And decide how sophisticated and how proficient the design accordingly. And match as per the time needed, how we can treat that, you can plan that. That's it from my end today. Thank you, and we will be covering fourth chapter very soon.